What's up, Vikings Nation? We're super close to 1,000 subs. You guys can help me reach that goal by subscribing right now. So yesterday, there was a rumor that popped up. Not really a rumor, but I mean, it kind of was. From Tom Pelissero, and it had me thinking, wow, did that actually happen? Like, was that actually a real thing and stuff? Apparently, it was. This is by ML Football, and then we'll get into what Tom Pelissero said. But report, the Minnesota Vikings were making calls about moving up very high in the draft and had the idea to do so if Alabama quarterback Bryce Young didn't get selected with the first overall pick, per Tom Pelissero of NFL Media via the Vikings Insider. He says, my understanding is that it was for one player, and that was Bryce Young. The Vikings were trying. They were making calls to move up as high as possible if Bryce Young slid away from that number one overall pick to take him in this year's draft. There's a lot of things we're going to talk, not really a lot, but a couple thoughts of mine that I want to bring up here in just a second. But Tom Pelissero, obviously from Minnesota. If you didn't know, he is from Minnesota. He lives in Minnesota and stuff like that. It says, the Minnesotan who works for NFL Network broke the news Tuesday during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show, saying most rumors about the Vikings and quarterbacks going into the draft were just completely wrong. But the idea that they would trade up or could trade up in the top 5 was very real. All right, he says, they were making calls about moving up very high in the draft. My understanding is that it was for one player, and that was for Bryce Young, who ended up going number 1. And so there wasn't any possibility for Minnesota to go and get him. They knew he wasn't going to be a Minnesota Viking, so the focus really turned around, toward getting another weapon for the offense in the draft. Okay, so Minnesota, they wanted to take a chance. They were trying to trade up if Bryce Young slid out of that number 1 spot. That would have been incredible. Look, the only thing I can think of is the Vikings are looking forward to the future, right? They're looking forward to having a franchise quarterback for the next 5-10 years and stuff like that. Get the next Patrick Mahomes or whatever the case may be. Get a guy. We have Kirk Cousins right now. He's good enough. Okay, he wins us ball games. He gets us to the playoffs, but he just can't get over that hump for some reason. Okay, I don't know what it is or what it is about him. I have no idea, but there's also a reason that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah decided not to extend Kirk Cousins. Remember, they were talking about it. They said, no, we're not going to give him an extension. He's going to play out this year and kind of reevaluate the situation towards the year end or after the season is over and done with. So that makes me believe that, look, they really thought they could get Bryce Young. However, does that mean next season, say we get, we go to the playoffs again, we have a late first round pick or middle to late first round pick and stuff like that, that they don't try trading up again to select a Caleb Williams from USC, who actually played with Jordan Addison, our first round pick, or trade for a trade up to get Drake May, I believe, out of North Carolina and stuff like that. We're trying to find our franchise quarterback. Kirk Cousins could be the guy, but he would only sign for maybe 2-3 years and stuff like that. But as for Kirk Cousins' future in Minnesota, the ball is still up in the air. We have no idea. This is what Tom Pelissero said. He says, with Cousins, there were contract talks about an extension. It's just last year, Kirk Cousins signed a 1-year extension, which gave the Vikings flexibility to do exactly what they did, which was explore their option. Decide that Kirk Cousins right now is their best option and roll with him in 2023. So Kirk was never going to take another short-term type of deal, another 1-year extension. It just didn't make a lot of sense. So Kirk Cousins wants to be in for the long haul, multiple years, wants a big-time contract. He doesn't want another 1-year contract to give the Vikings flexibility to look at a replacement and stuff like that. So that's why we declined it. Kirk Cousins' future in Minnesota remains uncertain. But the fact that we were taking or making calls to potentially trade up very high in the draft has me wondering what we're going to do, not only, I guess, now, but after the season, next year's draft. Are we going to trade up? Are we going to get a Caleb Williams, a Drake May, and all those other quarterbacks? I have no idea, but it's clear that the Minnesota Vikings are looking to move on from Kirk Cousins. But at the same time, if he balls out and shows that he can win a Lombardi, hey, he might be our quarterback for the next 3 years. I guess we'll find out what happens. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think about this. What should the Vikings do in the future? Also, drop a like. And hey, subscribe to the channel. We're almost to 1,000 subs. You can help me reach that goal by subscribing right now. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and Skol Vikes.